Hi everybody, hope you're well. Welcome to this week's video for Shabbat. It's delayed again, I apologize. Today I want to talk about policing, feeling protected, safe. What prompted it is like recent events that I had, which I actually haven't ever expected to be in. Scenarios I never expected to be in, a bit surreal. After watching In the Name of the Father, many years ago, I learned that police can't be trusted more than the next door crook you happen to come across in a dark alleyway. But still, we grow up believing they are the good guys, that they're there to protect us, that they are people who, hey Amber, I'm with Amber, that they're there because all their lives they dreamed about being the modern superhero, Batman or Spider-Man of our times, protecting the world from evil. And then you come across two-tier policing, which is a bit like, I don't know, possibly disappointing equally for the police themselves as it is for the people who are subjected to that. But it's like they're trying to be, or they're put there to be a nursery nurse in a friendly football match no one's meant to be winning. You know, like in those movies where there's a kids' football match in primary school and they ensure nobody wins, so nobody goes home sad. So it's the same, just that in the football match of life we're talking about, it's one side filled with terrorist supporters and proper people who were recognized as terrorists, PSC and IRA and others, people who associated themselves with Hezbollah and Hamas. And on the other side, you've got law-abiding citizens using their freedom of speech to raise awareness, to make their voices sound, and to show that they are not afraid. But the police, rather than being there to protect us, many times treat us like we are the criminals. And the thing is, they have some kind of a line that they want to frame you with. So they build a whole story in their head, and then they question you in a way that to try and get you to fall down the pit holes they planned for you in order to frame you with whatever story they have in their head. So this is like a whole new story, but just, you know, a little thumbs up for people like me who have zero experience with policing and with what they do. If they stop you in the middle of the street and they ask you all sorts of questions, the first thing you do, turn on your video cam on your phone, make sure you record the entire conversation. And if they ask you for your name, ask, am I legally required? Am I legally required to give you my name? Am I legally required to give you my date of birth? Do not give any identification such as your address or phone number on the streets when people are looking or when people might be recording. There are people like me and you. I mean, police, they're made up of people with different beliefs, different faiths, different political agendas or affiliations. And although while they are in their work, doing their duty or their job, they're meant to be neutral, you can see very clearly who is and who isn't. Some people don't know what's going on and they actually ask to try and understand. And some of them come with a assumption on a certain population. And it's like they're looking for a scapegoat or they're looking for a reason to nail you. And if you find yourself in a scenario like that, try and avoid them as much as you can. Don't do anything that might be taken out of context, because this is what they do. They would take things out of context and they will, I've seen so many people who are like the most law-abiding citizens, the kindest and most gentle I know, like Niak Gorbani, who was a lot in the press and in social media, and a few others. I don't want to mention any more names or any more actual cases, but people who are genuinely kind and gentle are being aggressively handled by the police, who is meant to be there to protect them. And I think this is the saddest thing. The saddest thing is that number one feeling that we as humans need to have in order to progress is a feeling of safety and security. And when that goes, you feel a bit insecure in how to continue with other things in your life and how to progress in things which are a little bit higher up the hierarchy of your self-fulfillment. So when you walk down the street and you don't feel safe, or when you go somewhere where you're meant to be able to express your freedom of speech and you find out that the freedom of speech is very selective and it's not reserved to you or your kind, you lose your sense of safety. You understand that you're alone. You're pretty much alone where you are. This is why many people feel safer in Israel during war than they do on the streets of London. And I would imagine on the streets of America, or having seen a protest, footage from yesterday, I think it was horrid, filled with violence, and the police is standing there idle, doing absolutely nothing to stop it from being complete anarchy. So these are new times. I don't think it's ever been that bad, but it started with, I believe, embedding the empathy into the villain in even stories like Disney and other filmmakers. Like suddenly there is the Joker. You know, you need to find the empathy for the Joker, what led him to become who he is, or the empathy for Maleficent. It's like looking for reasons why the villains are villains, and then feeling empathetic towards their causes and justifying their actions or excusing them at least. And I think this is partly what's happening today. I mean, it's after years and years of subtle change in people's minds to accept evils as if because something bad has happened to them at some point in their lives, or something they perceive as unfair and bad happened to them, they're entitled, or they understood why they would behave in a certain way. Somebody told me a sentence this week which made my hair stand. He told me, some people's terrorists are other people's freedom fighters. My reply to him was, I have never in my life met a freedom fighter who baked a baby in the oven or cut a pregnant woman open to murder her fetus, the unborn. This is the end of morality. And if people who are solicitors, who are policemen, who are law enforcers, have this kind of faith, this kind of belief in their mind, there's very little hope for our universe. Anyhow, I don't want to end in a bad vibe. I just want to say that anybody who's truthful, law-abiding, genuinely good person will eventually see the light, will eventually be cleared, will eventually be safe from all the evils. We need to remain strong, confident, and certain in our ways and in who we are, and not disclose any information that has not been legally required by us to provide to anybody. Absolutely nobody. It's sad, but we can't trust anyone today. Certainly not as Jews, certainly not as Israeli Jews, and anyone who is in our side or on our side, who is supporting us in our struggles, whether they're Christians or even Muslims that are standing with us, and they are actually at risk, because if somebody from their neighborhood spotted them, they're at risk. But there are people from every faith, from every color, from every nation, who see the truth, who sees good versus evil. Protect each other. We have to stick together because we're the only ones we can trust. Yeah, still not optimistic enough in my head. Hi, Amber. This is optimism. This is when you get some people, something you can trust. Animals are pure, and you can always trust cats and dogs and animals because they don't have any hidden agendas and two-faced personalities that smile and stab you at the same time. Anyhow, have a good weekend. Shabbat Shalom. I'm probably going to be back tomorrow with video for about Israel. I'm going to talk about the counter-protest we had yesterday, or it wasn't a counter-protest, it was a welcoming for Roger Waters, the mega anti-Semite. We did a Kabbalat Shabbat. It was a beautiful moment to do it in London, on the street, in his face. So until tomorrow, keep well and just love.